inshallah, we're going to speak about complete subjects and complete predicates. And I hope like you like it, and then I hope inshallah it will be easy for you. So now let's start with the positions of the subject. So I know that all of you know what the subject is. The subject is the person or the thing we're talking about. This is the head of the sentence. If any sentence does not have a subject, we call it a headless sentence. It means a sentence without a head. Why? Because we don't know what are we talking about or which things are we talking about, so it will be like useless. So for example, if I told you like went to school, who went to school, who went to school, who, but if I said like my sister went to school, so in that in like in the following exam, like in the following example, like my sister went to school, like we have a subject which is my sister. So here we have the position of the subject, and I know that most of you think that the subject comes only at the beginning, which is like not true. It is not accurate. So we know it's true. It's true that the subject sometimes, most of the time, comes at the beginning. It is true, but not all the time. So, for example, I say some boys are in the garden. Here we have the word some boys as a subject. The words like some boys here is a complete subject. I'm speaking about who are in the garden, some boys. So I'm speaking about boys here. This is a simple subject. She likes playing tennis. Who likes playing tennis? She. So she here is the subject. I'm talking about her. Swimming is my hobby. So what's your hobby? Swimming. So we use usually speaking, say who, we ask questions using who or what, okay, to know where the subject is or what the subject is. Now, watching TV wastes my time. So what does waste your time? What wastes your time? Which things does waste your time? So you can say watching TV. So watching TV here is a subject. My best friend hates fast food. So you can say who hates fast food? You can say my best friend. I go shopping once a week. How often? Not how often here. So you can say, for example, who, go shopping once a week, can say, I go shopping once a week. So here in all these sentences, I think all of them are very simple. And even grade 1 or 2 students are able to determine the subject easily. Now, the more you grow up, the more complicated and just the more sophisticated the sentence you will see. So here we have this one. Here, just be careful. Like why? Because sometimes the subject can come in the middle. Sometimes the subject can come in the middle. Like when can the subject come at the middle? In the middle, like for example, number one, when the sentence starts with non-essential prepositional phrase. Essential means important. It means when the sentence starts with a prepositional phrase. Preposition like on, at, for, with, between, among, next to, and so on. Behind, beside. This is preposition. These are prepositions. So if the sentence starts with a not important, on, an unimportant prepositional phrase, so it means the subject can come in the middle, like this one. In the summer, we go to the beach. So in the summer, like here, remember the subject can never come after a preposition. The subject can never come after a preposition. If you have any word after a preposition, it is not a subject anymore. It is an object of preposition. Object of preposition. Like neither in Arabic nor in English, like do we have a subject after a preposition. Okay, so in the summer here we have this one. This one is like a not important essential, like not important prepositional phrase. How could we know that it is not important? Delete it. So if we deleted that one, if we deleted that phrase, we would have like we go to the beach. We go to the beach is still an independent clause, a complete sentence. We is a subject, go the verb, to the beach is like another prepositional phrase acting as the complement of the sentence. So here we have this one. Number one, remember the subject sometimes can come in the middle when if the sentence starts with an important and unimportant prepositional phrase. Why it is not that important? Because even if we delete it, the sentence will be still correct, grammatically speaking correct. Like in the park some boys play football. In the park, this is also another prepositional phrase. Like here, the sentence here starts with a prepositional phrase which is unimportant. Why? Because if we deleted it, like we would have some boys play football, and again some boys play football is a correct sentence. Okay, so here, like, don't look at the beginning here, because like you can never, in is not the subject, there is not the subject, summer is not the subject, so all of it we call it a prepositional phrase which can be deleted at the beginning of the sentence. So here, as you see, the subject comes in the middle. What else in questions? I can never like start with like questions with the subject except like with the question of who broke the like the door, who opened the window. So in that case, yeah, who is the subject. But otherwise, in other kind of questions, we can say, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? So here we have the verb are, the helping verb, and then you, which is subject. Do people like going out? Do people like going out? So people here is a subject. So how could you know? Like always, the subject always comes after the link in the helping verb in question. It's number 2 or number 3. So here, if the question starts with like am, is, are, was, where, the subject comes immediately after it. So it's in this question, like the subject is number 2. If the question starts with like a WH word, like what, where, how often, how long, why, when, how old, and so on. So this kind of question word, we call them in English like question word. So if the question starts with question word, in that case the subject is number 3. What, the question word, have, the helping verb, they, like the subject, and done in the main verb. This is like the correct formation of any question, of most question. A question word, a helping verb, a subject, a main verb. So if you have this kind of thing like in your exam, look at just number 2 or number 3. This is the subject, depending on what, depending on the beginning, based on the beginning of the question. If it starts with like are or do or have or has or had, it means the subject is number 2. If it starts with a question word, it means the subject is number 3. And even in both cases, remember that the subject comes after the helping verb, like are or do or have, and here is. Like what the girl with short hair doing. So the girl with short hair, like all of it is the subject, the complete subject, and the simple subject is the word girl. This is the simple subject. Okay, so what is the girl is the helping verb. So the subject comes after the linking verb, or the link, like I mean the helping verb here. Okay, so in order to summarize this one, we have the subject sometimes come in the middle, sometimes the subject comes in the middle if the sentence starts with a prepositional phrase which is not important, and or in questions. So I can never start a question like you like, for example, you can say, you ready? Yeah, in spoken it's okay, but in like academic English, like language, like when we write it, shouldn't say you're ready, because like you're going to confuse your reader. I mean, like, are you asking, or like is it a declarative sentence or interrogative sentence? We don't know. For example, if I say what have they done, it's a question. But if I say what they have done, so it doesn't look like a question anymore. It doesn't look like a question anymore. Okay, so you can say what the girl with like short hair doing. What the girl with short hair doing. So I can never say what the girl with short hair is doing. So it's not even a question. So again, the subject can come in the middle when in two cases, if the sentence starts with non-essential or non-essential prepositional phrase, or in question. This is the second condition. Also, the most confusing one, the most confusing, position of the subject still is when the subject comes at the end. And I know most of you are not familiar with this kind of structure, but even being not familiar with it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means that you don't know it. So sometimes the subject can come at the end, again in two positions and even more. But let's say that like I'd like you to know these two positions only. So the subject sometimes can come at the end when the sentence start. Here we have to add s. When the sentence starts with, I couldn't add it here, but just how to say, when the sentence starts with an essential prepositional phrase. What does essential mean? A prepositional phrase mean? It means important. What does important mean? It means we can never delete it, because if you delete it, you will have nothing. You will not have a dependent clause. Like, for example, in the park are some boys. Okay, so this prepositional phrase comes at the beginning of the sentence and is important. Why it is important? Simply because if you delete it, like think about deleting it. Delete that one. What do you get? Are some boys. Is it a sentence? Like, I mean, does it give like a complete meaning? No, it doesn't. So in that sentence, any sentence that starts with an essential prepositional phrase, the subject always comes after the verb. The subject comes after the verb. So in this one, like, in the park are some boys, it should be some boys are in the park. Some boys are in the park, But just, here they're bored. You can't just describe them as being bored or unhappy people who like always play with like the order of their sentences. So anyway, it's not wrong. Girls, like, it's not wrong. It's still correct. In the park are some boys. So where's the subject here? The subject here comes at the end. Why? Because the sentence starts with an important, essential phrase. In the park. How could I know that it's important? Delete it. Like, delete the sentence. Like, in the park, delete it. So can say what we have. What would we have? We have are some boys. So it's meaningless. It doesn't make any sense. What are some boys like, give us, like, it doesn't give us any meaning. Okay, it's meaningless. And another sentence like the following one: next to the bank is the library. Next to the bank, delete it. If you're going to delete this one, next to the bank, delete it. Okay, so you can say is the library. So what would we get? Is the library? It's a beginning of a question. No, yeah, it could be a beginning question, but it is not even complete. So here, like, the sentence, like here, the subject comes after the verb. Remember that when the sentence starts with a complete, like, sorry, when the sentence starts with essential prepositional phrase, in that case, the subject always comes after the verb, not before the verb as usual. Like, behind the mountain lies a very small city. Behind the mountain, this is prepositional phrase, deleted. So what do we get? Lies a very small city. Is a very small city. Okay, what about it? It's meaningless. So these sentences are correct. Believe me, it's correct. They're correct. But just, you're not just not familiar. You're just not familiar with them. So in the park are some boys. Next to the bank is the library. Behind the mountain lies a very small city. So in all these sentences, the subject comes, after the verb. Why? Because in all these sentences, or because all these sentences start with prepositional, essential prepositional phrase. Yeah, and you can compare between this one and this one. Like here in the summer, I can delete it easily, and here you can use like the comma as a trick. I mean, the comma will be a lot. So in the summer we got the beach, so here in the summer just delete it. We still have a complete sentence, we got the beach. But here, in the park are some boys. Like, if we deleted the prepositional phrase in the park, we're not going to have a complete sentence. Are some boys, which is not, a meaningful. The second here, like, when the sentence starts with essential and essential, so here should I add n, should add that here. So an essential prepositional participial phrase like roaming in the sky are huge birds. Some students think that roaming is a subject, but you think about it, roaming, like, like swimming, listening, eating, cooking, cleaning, opening, closing. At the beginning of the sentence is a subject, and it's always singular. So if I say zooming is a subject, the verb can never be are. The verb should have been like is. Roaming in the sky is enjoyable, for example. But this sentence, like in this sentence, the subject is not, roaming, because the verb is are. So it means that we need a plural noun. In that case, it's birds. Birds. So roaming in the sky are huge birds. It's still okay. It could, like, it has been, or it could be written or rephrased as huge birds are roaming in the sky. Huge birds are roaming in the sky. Okay, but just, it's just like different order of words, like, and it is not wrong. Again, you're not just not familiar with it only. So the complete predicate now. Why this one is important? I mean, like, why determining, why, like, locating the subject? Why does locating the subject, like, is important? Sorry, why is locating the subject important? Why? Because here we have this one. Once you are able to complete the determine the subject's location, you will be able to know where the complete predicate is. Simply speaking, the complete predicate is all the sentence except the subject. All the sentence except the subject. So, if the subject comes at the beginning, so it means the complete predicate starts with the verb till the end of the sentence. Like, some boys is a subject, so this is a subject. So in that case, are in the garden is a complete predicate. Okay, so here, if the subject comes at the beginning, so it means the complete predicate starts from the verb till the end of the sentence. Okay, if the subject comes in the middle, so in that case, logically speaking, the complete predicate, some of it, part of it, comes at the beginning, and the second part comes at the end. Like this one, in the park, some boys play football. So just eliminate the subject, so it means the complete predicate will be all the sentence except the subject. Okay, if the subject comes at the end, like this one, in the park are some boys, like here's the subject, here the subject comes at the end. So in that case, it means the complete predicate starts from the beginning of the sentence till you reach the subject. So it's easy, girls, it's really easy. Just think about it. just if anyone asks you to determine the complete predicate, first of all, it's all the sentence and just eliminate the subject, whether it comes at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. At the end, okay? So the complete predicate again is all the sentence except the subject. So it's really easy. If someone asks you to determine the complete predicate, just like underline all the sentence except the subject, the complete subject. Not only the simple subject, complete subject. The second point here, like I know that some of you are not able, like to determine the simple predicate simply because you don't know what the verb is. Girls, like honey, just think about it. In English, we have like, 5 categories of verbs. Like, think of it. Like, we have such kind of 5 categories of verb. The verb could be verb to be, like am, is, are, was, were, be, been, and being. It could be verb to have, like have, has, and had. It could be verb to do, like do, and does, and did. So again, just think of them. Think of them. Verb to be, verb to have, and verb to do. So these verbs in English can be used as both main verbs or helping verbs. For example, like here, like this one, like she was my best friend. What is the verb here? It's was. How could I know? Memorize it. Like if I never say am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did, they're always verbs. They're always verbs. They can never be used as a noun. Just I can never add ing to the verb am, for example. I can never say aming or ising or aring or wasing. Have, okay, sometimes, and for sure do, okay, but anyway, have, verb to do, verb to be, verb to have, all of them like are verbs. Like mostly speaking, with their forms like am, is, are, was, were, be, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, always verb. So sometimes you can use them as main verbs, sometimes you can use them as helping verbs. So main verbs like this one, she was my best friend. What is the verb here? Was. Do we have another verb after it? No. She was my best friend. So was here is the main verb. Swimming is a healthy activity. What is the verb here? Is. Do we have a verb after it? No. So it means it is a main verb. She had been my best friend for a long time. Had been. So here been is also the main verb because had is a helping verb in that sentence, but been is the main verb. Been is the main verb. What about helping verb? What are you doing? What are you doing? So what are you doing? Are here is not a main verb, it's a helping verb. She's waiting for you. She's waiting for you. So is here is a helping verb. Why? Because it helps the verb coming after it. So in that case, it's waiting. She's waiting for you. I was cleaning my room. What were you doing? Like when I called you, I was cleaning my room. So I was the helping verb and cleaning is the main verb. You see? So as you see here, like verb to be can be used as a helping verb or as a main verb. Again, the same rule applies to verb to have. Like I have 2 sisters. I have 2 sisters. The subject here, the verb here is have. Main verb or helping verb, it's main verb. Why? Because we do not have any verbs after it. She has a problem with her phone. She has a problem with her phone. So what is the verb here? Has. Main verb or helping verb? No, it's a main verb. Why? No verbs here. There are no verbs here. We had a good car. We had a good car. So had again is a main verb. Why? A good is not a verb. Car is not a verb. Like here on the other side, we can use also have, has, and had as helping verbs. Like what have you done? What have you done? What have you done? So have here is used as a helping verb. Why? Because we have done. And remember, whenever you have or has or had as a helping verb or as helping verbs, they must be followed by the past participle. It is a rule. We took it last year. So she has listened to music. She has listened to music. Has here is a helping verb. Why? Because it comes after before the main verb listened. We had done our homework. We had done our homework. Had is a helping verb. Why? Because it comes before the main verb done. He does his best. Does here is helping verb. Like he does his worst. He does his homework. He does the clean like the housework. It's okay. So here we have he does his best. So does here is the main verb. He didn't waste his time or he does not waste his time. So did here is not a main verb because we have the verb waste. And if you see, after do, after does, after did, we use the base of the verb. It means we use the verb with no additions or change. So it's hard to say, yeah, it's hard to say he does, like for example, he didn't wasting, it's wrong, or he didn't wasted, it's wrong. So please don't say I didn't went out, it's wrong. I didn't go out. What did you do? I shouldn't say what did you did, it's wrong. Okay, so remember that. So again, in order to remind you and refresh your memories, the verbs in English can be like, one of like these five categories. Like we have verb to be, it could be verb to be, verb to have, verb to do. Once you see one of them, they're always verbs. Okay, number four. What's number four? Like this one. Modal verbs like can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, must, and so on. So all of them we call them in English modal verbs. Why? Because they're not full verbs. They're always used as helping verbs. Like what? Like for example, I can never tell you, yeah, you can. You can what? I can what? Like, yeah, I will tomorrow. I will tomorrow. What will you do tomorrow? Like, it's nonsense. I mean, like, I didn't get anything. Like, you can never say, she will, like, next week. She will next week. She will do what next week? She will come next week. She will do her homework next week. She will be able, like, to study well next week. So, just you have to be careful. Like, well, what? What will she do? Like, I can never say, you know what? You must. You must do. Like, for example, you must today, tonight. I must do what tonight? Like I can never say you must tonight. I must do what? In academic writing, it's this one is very like ambiguous and not clear. Like I must do what? Okay, I can never say like you should every day. I should do what every day? You should study every day. You should like do exercise every day. You should read the Holy Quran every day. So like I don't know exactly what are you doing. Like what are you advising to do? What are you advising me to do? What you're advising me to do? Advising so you need to do. So here you have this one. Can, could, shall, should, will, would are always used as helping verbs. Why? Because I can never depend on them alone to get a complete sentence. I can never say I can today. I can do what today, or you will tomorrow. Like if it's conversation, I can say okay. Like it's conversation, so I can understand what you mean. But what you mean, yeah. But like if it's not a conversation, I can never just knock the door and tell someone, yeah, you will tomorrow, and so I will do what tomorrow. Okay, so here we call them like always modal verbs. Why? Because they do not have the third form like past participle, and also because they do not like they can never be dependable when it comes to forming a complete sentence. Okay, this is number four. What about number five? Like this one, she must study well. Remember, like if you deleted the word study, if you say she must well, do you get anything? No. You will have a quiz. You will a quiz. I will what? I will have a quiz. I will like cancel a quiz. I will take a quiz. I will like face a quiz. Like I need to have a verb after them. They can visit us at any time. Just like in that sentence, just remove the word visit. They can us at any time. Is it complete? Is it meaningful? No. So remember also, whenever you have one of these things, they are always verbs. Just start with them. Okay. The full verb, what does like this is number four, the full verbs. Full verbs like what? Like this one. Eat, play, cook, listen, close, clean, study, write, read, stand, sit, like walk, run, jog, listen, see, anyone, like, any verb, like any action, like, think, believe, love, like, hate, admire, abhor, like any verb, honey, any verb, any action, okay? So it's also verb and always used as full verbs and full verbs only. I can never say, for example, the word listen can be used as a helping verb. No, the helping verb like one, either it's verb to be or verb to have or verb to do or modal verbs. Like one of these four verbs, yes, can be used as helping verbs. It's true. Except this one, the full verbs like eat, like this one. They listen to their friends. So here the verb, the main verb here, listen. They're listening to their friends. The main verb here are listening. They have listened to their friends. The main verb here is listened. So again, if you see the full verbs like eat or play or cook or listen or like clean or walk and so on, these verbs are like clean verbs. Like I think you know them all. You know them all. So here we have these verbs. Like we will always use them as helping verbs. The last point before you get bored, like this one, never. I told you that I'm going to prepare you a list of never. So one of the things like it sometimes confuses you. Like one of the things that like mostly speaking confusing, like this one. Remember the subject can never, mark my words, never come after a preposition or after prepositions. The subject can never come after a preposition. Like with her friends are happy. Some people think that friends can be the subject. For sure no, like for sure it's wrong. Like because it comes after the word with, and with is a preposition, and the subject is the main verb, the main word of the sentence. The subject and the verb are the pillars of any sentence. So how can we add a preposition before the pillar, before the most important word? Of course not. So this sentence, for example, is ungrammatical. Why? Because it does not have a subject. Like, with her friends, what happened? you know, with her friends are happy. Like this sentence is totally wrong, and even doesn't have a subject. And if you have to have a subject, it has to be is, and in that case, like are is wrong. So this sentence is totally wrong. Remember that you should not add a preposition before the subject. And also the verb, like the verb also the same. You can never add a preposition before the verb, even in Arabic. In Arabic, you can never add a preposition before any verb, even in Arabic. Think about it. Like now, I'd like to think about a preposition in Arabic, just you know, and then try to put a verb after it. Does it make any sense? Does it even sound, you know, correct? No. Like for example, she forgoes to the school. She forgoes. Like why did you add for? Like she goes to school. She goes to school. You see? So again, remember this one. If someone asks you to determine or like to locate the simple subject or the simple verb, remember the simple subject and the simple verb can never come, you know, after a preposition. Both of them can never come after a preposition. Also here, remember this one. The verb also, the verb can never come after possessive adjectives. You know, possessive adjectives like my, his, her, our, your, their, its. So I can never say, for example, my go to school. You can say I go to school, not my go to school. So remember, the verb can never come after a possessive adjective like my or her. I can never say her listens to like her friends. Her listens to her friends. That like does it sound correct to you? Does it sound correct? Of course not. I can never say her listen or like you know my go or like their clean. No, no. And also the verb can never come after a or an or the. So I can never say a like they listen to me. They listen to me is good. They listen. That is like a or an or the. Mostly speaking are followed by nouns, not by verbs. So even Arabic, we don't add the before the Arabic verb. It doesn't work. Like try to think now. I'd like to think of a verb in Arabic. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Okay, now try to add the before it in Arabic. Try to add the before it in Arabic. Okay, so does it work? No, of course not. It doesn't work. So here we have the last point here, like last technique, like you know the useful technique. So imagine if you have a very long sentence like this one we have see here, we're seeing here, like this one. For 3 weeks at the beginning of the semester, students with fewer than the maximum number of units can add additional courses. So we have here a very long sentence, and the question is where is the subject and where is the verb? Where is like the simple subject and where is the simple verb? So imagine when you think about it, the first sentence, if you like to think of you know the subject, first of all start deleting with your pencil, start deleting all the prepositional phrase. So as you see here, for 3 weeks, prepositional phrase deleted. At the beginning, deleted. It's a prepositional phrase. Of the semester, a prepositional phrase deleted. So you will find out that you deleted all the part at the beginning. For 3 weeks, deleted. At the beginning, deleted. Of the semester, deleted. So now we have the word student. Student is a simple subject. Again, with fewer than the maximum number is a prepositional phrase deleted. Of unit, prepositional phrase deleted. So we still have can add additional courses. So here, simply speaking, after deleting all the prepositional phrase, you're going to have the word students, which is the subject, and the word can add, which is the simple predicate or the verb. You know, additional courses like, you know, the object. So here you have this one. So imagine if I ask you to, like, you know, to determine the complete predicate in that sentence, all the sentence will be the complete predicate except the word students only, because the student is a subject. So it means just the complete predicate is all the sentence except the subject. So in that sentence, for example, all the sentence is the complete predicate except the word students. Okay, another example like here, construction of the housing development. So here we have of the housing development, underline it, you know, and then delete it. So yeah, so we'll be underway by the first, like this one, like here we have first, F-I-R-S-T, first, like not the typo mistake here, sorry. So first of the month. So here we have this one, construction is a subject. You know why? It comes at the beginning and we don't have like, you know, any preposition before it. Okay, and this sentence does not start with like you know, an essential prepositional phrase or an essential participial phrase. So construction is subject, of the housing development is like prepositional phrase, will be is a verb, you know, underway by the first of month, by the first is another prepositional phrase, of the month is like, again, one more prepositional phrase. Just by deleting it, you will find the word construction, which is the subject, and will be is the verb. So whenever you have long sentence, don't get panic. Just, remember to delete all the prepositional phrase, and just, you will get the subject and the verb eventually. So, lovely girls, like what I'd like you to focus now, like one thing, first of all, the complete predicate is a whole sentence except the subject. And then the subject can never come after a preposition, the verb can never come after a preposition, and don't be confused by the location of the subject. The subject can come at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. I hope it's useful for you, and I hope inshallah it will help you with your quiz. Thank you.